Usually, where do people keep the questions, by the way? Is it like this? No. Posture is fine, everything okay? Perfect. We just look at each other. Love in the eyes.
Very sexual. Flair or a Hulk Hogan or The Rock, it's been good so far. I'm looking forward to the show. I think that's going to be incredible.
Hi guys, my name is Rishi. I'm the CEO of WXM, India's groundbreaking pro wrestling platform. And I have a very special guest with me here tonight, Mark Dallas. So Mark, I'll give you a brief intro about Mark. One of the biggest independent wrestling promotions from Europe. Mark was the founder and promoter of it. ICW is the name, Insane Championship Wrestling. So that's the expertise that Mark gets on for WXM, and he's part of WXM Ground Zero Powerbomb as a special guest commissioner. Mark, welcome to WXM.
Thanks for having me on, Rishi.
And welcome to India.
Yeah, I'm very, very happy to be in India. It's a great experience so far.
Any unique experience about India that you want to talk about?
Oh my God, lots.
Firstly, is this your first visit to India?
No.
No.
Well, it is incredibly hot for
You mean hot people or?
Oh, a bit of both. Hot people and incredibly hot weather. For a overly white, translucent white person such as myself from Scotland, this is pretty intense.
Yeah.
Especially when I usually, for big events like this, break out the three-piece suit because it calls for a bit of, class and decorum with a big event such as this. But I am greatly regretting wearing a three-piece suit in this temperature. So yeah, hopefully there'll be a bit of air conditioning tomorrow in the venue. But yeah, it's been a culture shock, but in a great way. It's a part of the world that I've never seen before. The people are incredibly friendly. It's just, it's a great place. There's very few places in the world that you go to where people are really overly polite and friendly, and India is one of those places. So it's very refreshing to go to somewhere like that in the world.
Yeah.
Gives you some good hope for humanity.
What's the unique cultural aspect of India that sort of resonates with you?
Well, it's the food and the fact that everything you eat has spice in it. It's a bit much sometimes. I love spicy food, love it. But when I get a margarita pizza, that shouldn't be spicy.
Even that's spicy for you?
Even that's spicy for me, mate.
Oh wow.
But I do like hot sauces and stuff like that normally back home. But yeah, when everything's got a bit of spice and flavour to it, it's a bit intense for my
So on a scale of
my stomach.
0 to oh damn, what's the spice level in India that you've experienced so far?
Oh damn, mate.
Oh damn?
Aye, oh damn.
Yeah?
All day, every day. Aye, absolutely. But the food is incredible. Some of the food here is phenomenal. So yeah, it's been good so far. I'm looking forward to the show. I think that's going to be incredible. I got a wee sneak peek of the venue. I'm telling you, you very rarely ever see a setup of this magnitude in any wrestling promotion in the world. That's like Premier League level, like the big boys. So it's a note of intent, it seems, by you guys for what your plans are for this platform. So it's very exciting, and I'm honoured that you have asked me to be a part of the show.
So when someone with an experience of your level talks about this and the kind of scale that we are acting at, it's a great sort of validation for us. So firstly, thank you for that.
Oh, no problem.
Talking about your journey now, what prompted you to be a promoter, founder for a wrestling promotion? Was there any particular moment that sort of tilted you to start that? Were you always a wrestling fan? Talk about some experience through that.
Yeah, sure. So I was a wrestling fan growing up, up until a certain age. So from 4 or 5 years old, it was like watching Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, people like that, Papa Shango, all these great characters, larger than life characters in WWF at the time, as it was called. And then, as I got to about, say, 13, 14, I've kind of slipped away and stopped watching it. I got more interested in watching football and trying to chase after girls and stuff like that, as you do as you get a bit older. And it just took a back seat, and it wasn't something that interested me anymore. Maybe it was a bit too cartoonish for the age that I'd reached. However, then we got in this thing called cable TV, which is like satellite TV. In Scotland, a lot of people got it in their houses, and all of a sudden we could get WWF, Monday Night Raw and stuff like that again. So I remember walking into my little brother's room and he was watching the wrestling. It was Mankind, Mick Foley, was fighting The Rock, and he got punched off this...
the Hell in a Cell cage?
No,
not that?
I know what you're thinking of the Undertaker one. No, this was the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
And he hits him into a lighting box that explodes and falls on top of him.
Yeah, I got it.
And I was like to my little brother, I said, "What is this you're watching?" He said, "Oh, it's the wrestling." And I went, "That's not the wrestling. I don't remember it being like that." And then I see Stone Cold come out, giving the middle finger, swearing. And I'm like, oh, I really like this. And that was me hooked again. And then retroactively, I went back and watched a lot of stuff I missed, like ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling. Became a massive fan of Paul Heyman. He's one of my heroes. And he ran ECW and started training, because back then you couldn't go online and you couldn't hire a wrestling ring and you couldn't book all the stuff. Wrestling was very closed off, so you had to know somebody in the industry to get in. So it was a very different world than the world now.
Yeah.
And you had to like kind of force your way in, and there was a lot of pushback when you were trying to force your way in, because they tried to like see if you were tough enough to be part of the wrestling industry and stuff like that, which might not be the best way to do it, but that's the way it was. So I went to start training at the same time as Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
So we became best friends. But he was training to be a wrestler. I had to train to be a wrestler. I was like 15 years old, but I didn't want to be a wrestler. I just wanted to get in the door to be able to hire a ring and wrestlers and book a show, because I wanted to be like Paul Heyman, while other people want to be like wrestlers from the past that they look up to, like a Ric Flair or a Hulk Hogan or The Rock or whoever. I wanted to be like Paul Heyman.
And this you're saying was at the age of 15?
15.
That's still quite a young age to have that sort of clarity that, okay, I don't want to be a wrestler, because that's what you see on TV. You really don't know what's happening backstage. So I mean, yeah, I'm quite intrigued in terms of how that thinking came about.
So there was a magazine called Power Slam magazine.
Okay.
That kind of taught you a bit more of the behind the scenes stuff that you could get in newsagents shops in Scotland and in the whole United Kingdom. So that would come out once a month. So I would like race home from school to buy this magazine. Years later, it was like one of the greatest things ever when I ended up being interviewed for that magazine. It doesn't exist anymore, but I ended up being interviewed for it and my name was on the front cover. And I was like, it was just very small. It wasn't my photo on the front or anything, but to me it was like this really important thing. Yeah, it was incredible. But that kind of started telling me about the inner workings. Then you're on the internet, that's kind of in its infancy. And you're starting to hear some backstage stuff in the dirt sheets, it's called. But that wasn't as big as it is now. It was a kind of underground scene. And I was obsessed with that just as much as the stuff in front of the camera. Although in front of the camera was what intrigued me, because wrestling is an art form that is so underappreciated in the world. Like, it's a bit of everything, but the guys aren't seen as athletes, because they're athletes, they're actors, they're stuntmen, they're all these things rolled into one. They put themselves through incredible pain and suffering for their art to entertain the fans. And I think sometimes people go, oh, is it fake? Let me tell you something, there's nothing fake about wrestling, right? The injuries that people get is very, very real. And it's such a important thing to me, the wrestling business, that it was all I wanted to do. So I went down that path, ran a few shows, they bombed horrifically, sold like 40, 50 tickets a show, and then all of a sudden started finding my feet, the wrestlers started finding their feet, because Scotland was what's called a virgin territory. Like, it was a territory of the world in wrestling that had never been cracked. So no one had ever worked there. So basically what that means is, if you're going to start building something, it can grow rapidly if it goes in the right direction. So we were at the cusp of this. There'd been a couple of promotions before us, but nothing really major. and we started to get some traction. So it was like a community centre, then that moved into a nightclub, then a bigger nightclub, and then a bigger nightclub, and then after the biggest show I ever ran years later was, it's to this day still the biggest British wrestling show since Big Daddy fought Giant Haystacks in 1984 at Wembley Arena. So the only show as big as that since that date, which is like almost 40 years ago now, is ICW? Fear and Loathing, because that was a big annual.
What was the attendance for that?
6,723.
Excellent.
So bigger than ECW's biggest ever crowd. So I was very, very happy with that.
Excellent.
And then we signed with WWE, where we're on the WWE network, but we were kind of a rebellious company. So I kind of felt like I'd sold out a wee bit, but the money was too good to turn down, because I'd started it with nothing. I had a family to support. I didn't have anyone backing me other than I had a business partner, but like he's wanting to make profit from his investment as well. So we turned down the first 2 offers from them. The third offer came in. They were also saying, look, we're going to sign all your guys when we start NXT UK. So if you don't come with us, you can't use these guys anymore. So it's kind of one of those things where I'd went through over a decade of not being able to sleep at night, every night thinking about ticket sales and promoting shows and TV episodes you had to write, that I got just fatigued, and I thought, you know, it'd be nice to have that guaranteed money, and it was a lot of money they paid us, and be able to sleep at night knowing that, you know, the office staff that worked for me for years are all paid, and the training schools paid for, and this and this and this. So did that for a couple of years, then WWE moved to Netflix, the network shut down, that's what we were on. Before that we were on 34 countries around the world, and then we signed with WWE Network, and then we were on there, and through their platforms we were on things like Peacock in America, we were on Disney Plus in Indonesia, all these different channels, Fox in Australia, and then because they shut the network down, the deal ended, and then I decided I wanted to go and try something different in my life, because wrestling was one of many things I wanted to do. So
you had sold off essentially your share in ICW?
No. I still own, I still have rights with my business partner Duncan to the IP and the tape library.
Okay.
But it's licensed out to the guys who are in charge of it now.
Got it.
Because they guys worked for me, and I wanted it to continue on, but I wanted to go and try different things, because I had all these other dreams in my life, like to do like acting and writing scripts for TV and stuff like that. But wrestling consumed my life so much that it started out as a wee hobby, and then consumed everything I did, that I got to almost 40 years old and I went, I want to try some different things, and if I don't do it now, when? I might be too old to do it if I leave it another 10, 15 years. So I bit the bullet, went and did it, and then the offer came along to come here, and the opportunity, I'd been out of wrestling for about 2 years, and I thought about it.
So firstly, when you heard about pro wrestling platform coming up in India, and there's an opportunity for you to sort of be a part of it, what was your first reaction?
I thought, this seems too good to be true.
Okay.
It seemed so far-fetched that there was people that were going to invest like a great deal in a company and be dedicated to the level that yous are. Like earlier on, we were speaking about the size.
But that's
of
after
the venue.
You've come here and seen it. But still,
I had spoke to people, so that's how now I know that it's legit.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was kind of like, this seems like too good to be true. Like a company that's gone out on their own to build something in this massive market, and it got goosebumps standing up my arm, and I was like, oh, this makes me feel the butterflies in my stomach the way I used to feel back in the day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I'm going to try and be involved in that. Plus I was like, if, you know, we'll see how it goes. If maybe I'm not a good match for them, or vice versa, or maybe like it all connects perfectly. So far, I've absolutely loved it, and I'm very, very excited, and I think there's big things on the horizon for this company. And I'm not just saying that because I'm involved in the company. Like, India has no idea what is standing before them. They've got this, just such a, we're on the precipice of something great happening for India, Indian professional wrestling, a company that they can call their own.
Yes.
And I want to be part of that. So if I can help use my knowledge of the business, when over, nearly 20 something years in the game, to help, make things run a bit smoother and help give knowledge to like younger wrestling talent and help out with like the production side of things and stuff like that, I'm going to do that. And whatever I can do to help this company, I'm wanting to do, and I'm very excited.
I was pretty certain that our relationship would definitely click, because British and Indians have had a great relationship anyways. You guys have
Scottish.
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 Okay, Scottish. But essentially, you guys have ruled on us for many, many years.
Did Scotland? We were ruled over by the English as well. Don't worry, brother.
Okay, so then we are on the same page.
We're on the same page, mate.
With the same suffering, I
suppose.
It's the
English.
It's the English, yeah? Perfect. Excellent.
So. No, but I'm meeting you and the other people involved in the office management level of the company.
Yeah.
It's you very rarely get people that are successful businessmen that come into wrestling who are nice people and you can get along with them. There tends to usually be some egos and stuff like that, and I've experienced none of that so far. Like it's been a very I'm trying to think of the right word, like everything flows really well and everybody listens to each other and everybody bounces ideas off each other, and there's no really anybody going, well, I think this. It's like everybody's accepting of, well, I think this and I think this and I think this, and then coming to some consensus that's the best for the platform.
I think that's something that we were very, very clear about. I mean, so for example, the example that you mentioned, that back in the day there was a magazine and you used to read about it and you sort of got to know about the backstage stuff.
Yeah.
We never had that.
Yeah.
All we saw was TV wrestling. We were fans of certain wrestlers, looking at certain slams, but never really got to understand the business side of things.
Yeah.
And it's only when you sort of grow up, you have education or maybe start a career, that's when you start making sense of it. Oh, this is a business. It's not just what you're seeing on screen. Similarly, in India, this experience, we realized very soon that it doesn't really exist. This expertise of pro wrestling. It's a very, very unique proposition. It's a great mix of sports and entertainment.
Sure.
And that's why 100% we were sure that we need to get the best guys from the world who can come here, collaborate with us as a team, and hopefully that will build a talent hub in India. And I think that's what sort of you've been gracious enough, lending your wisdom, experience to this platform, but also sort of training, talking to the Indian guys, and this collaboration, this just the example that you said, we sort of bounce off ideas each other and see what works best. Because obviously there'll be some cultural aspect that we come up with which will fit better with the Indian audiences.
Of course.
And there'll be other expertise that you bring in from a pro wrestling world, which we don't have. So I think it's a great team that we have right now.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's been great to sort of have you. My other question is, ICW, how did you come up with the name Insane Championship Wrestling? Why the name?
Well, because I liked Extreme Championship Wrestling, but originally, not many people know this, I was going to call it Glasgow Championship Wrestling, but then I thought it was too regional, so then I started thinking, what's a word like extreme but not extreme? So I just started like rhyming off all these different words in my head. Then I landed on Insane, and it became a massive part of my life. And I know what you were saying there about...
So the two words that you loved, insane and extreme. Right. Insane you've been a part of, extreme you are a part of.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Oh, absolutely. And the colour scheme's the exact same as ICW, red, white and black. Everything's synergy, it's perfect. And like you were saying there about us working with the Indian guys, when we started out, it was the blind leading the blind. We were young kids with no mentors in Scotland, and we had to make tons of mistakes. Now, we've got you guys gracious enough to give us the opportunity to come and work with you. So if this scene is in its infancy right now, we're going to make sure that the same mistakes aren't made, because we'll just go, look, we've made that mistake, we've been burned by that, so let's try this, or let's try this instead. And that means that things will progress even faster for the Indian wrestling scene. And at the end of the day, that's what's really important to you. That's what's important to us as wrestlers, having somewhere to work, making good money, becoming stars, becoming famous, getting appreciated for the work and time and effort and the sweat, blood and tears that they've put into their craft, and the fans going home excited and, you know, happy for feeling like they've got their money's worth on a show day and made memories with their family, going with their kids to a show, making memories. You know, when they grow up, there'll be things that they'll look back on fondly, and that's the beauty of professional wrestling.
That's the vision for us also. We want to create a live events ecosystem which doesn't exist per se. I mean, it exists, but not at the scale that we are thinking of. We want it to be an experience from the time you step into the arena till the exit time. Absolutely. It has to be a complete experience and a complete package. That's what we want to provide to our Indian fans.
There's not enough of that in the world, because you're a father yourself, and I remember when my son was younger, you would go...
Father to this baby.
Oh, that's it. But it'd be like, you would think, what can we go to?
Yeah.
And there's not really many things you can do as a family. Like, you tend to repeat yourself and do the same things again and again. Wrestling's very, very unique.
Yeah.
And it's like, if it comes around and you take your family at it, it's such a spectacle and an experience that if it's done right, then it's like, it's just so special. It's this incredible thing that just brings people together and bonds fathers and sons and daughters, and, you know what I mean, creates great memories, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
So from a business perspective, when you started ICW, you obviously would have wanted to create a unique brand identity, like what ICW entails and how is it different from all the other promotions. How do you go about that vision? Did you have a very clear idea, or while working through it, an identity got formed? How did that sort of come about?
So the thing was to be overly Scottish.
Okay.
So very much like the way you guys are doing, we were like, there is wrestling, but there's not Scottish wrestling, so there's not characters that are geared towards a Scottish audience. And then we were geared towards an older crowd as well, because by that point, when I started promoting, ECW had shut down, the WWF Attitude Era had finished, and they were back to running shows for a PG audience. So there was a gap in the market, in the sense of there was no real adult promotion, especially not in the UK. And then on top of that, the Scottish elements brought into it, a lot of comedy as well. I love like funny stuff in wrestling, the razzmatazz and all that stuff. And it was just this kind of melting pot of different things. And then you had talent that were really, really good. A lot of who are working with WWE now, or have worked with WWE or other big promotions like that. Throwing ideas out and just it being this kind of amalgamation of different things, and it just took off and became this incredible journey that I went on that was meant to just be a hobby to make me make me forget about how much I hated my normal day job. And then it just blew up, and off to the races we went, and it became my life for a long, long time, and it was an incredible journey. A lot of fun, a lot of stress as well. But now that I'm out of that journey, I can look back on it fondly, because at the time you're doing everything go. You don't get to stop and smell the roses. So it's this is great for me, because it's the first time in wrestling I've actually had the opportunity to like look around and soak in what's happening around me, because I've got that in my head now that I'm like, remember to take a moment to take a breath. And I hope you do that as well, like, because it comes fast and it goes fast, and it's like it's a million miles an hour. And sometimes you need to just stop and look around and take in what's happening, because it is something special. It's very, very unique. So
Mark, you've worked with some of the biggest talents from the pro wrestling world. Paul Heyman is one of the names that you mentioned, and he's been an idol for you to some extent.
I've never worked with Paul Heyman. However, Paul Heyman had a show in Glasgow where he called me out, and
I've seen that video.
Yeah, a lot of people have seen that video.
I would have expected you to go on stage also, but I think you were being very modest and humble.
No, I was. It wasn't.
And Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman, he was extremely gracious to sort of acknowledge the efforts that you're putting in. So it was a nice moment, and I really like that video.
The thing I say about it is, it's like if you were a boxer and like Muhammad Ali or Mike Tyson was on stage and pointed at you and went to a room full of people in the city you were from, this guy's a great boxer. It was the equivalent of that. It was like my hero saying, by the way, this guy's really good at the thing that I do. And it's I'll never forget that as long as I live. And things like that, Triple H showing up at an ICW show when he's never appeared on an indie show, just we things like that are just when I started doing it in a community centre in front of like 60, 70 people, I never in a million years envisioned that it would get to there.
Yeah.
And I'm just very grateful now that I got to live through that. So it was great. And hopefully we get to live through a wee other thing now with WXM.
So in terms of the biggest talents that you worked with, who's been the easiest to sort of work with?
Is Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
But also, a lot of the regular guys in ICW that are in WWE now are quite easy to work with. Noam Dar was always very easy to work with. Gallus, which is Wolfgang, Mark Coffey, and Joe Coffey. They were very easy to work with. Kaylee Ray, who's now called Alba Fire in WWE. Piper Niven, who was in ICW for many, many years. We were very blessed to have a good roster of talent that were willing to listen to what I had to say and the ideas that I had. But I think that was a two-way street. I was willing to listen to them as well, so it was reciprocal. So but Drew was always, we had a close friendship since we were
of course
15 years old, and he trusted me and I trusted him. So if I
so
said,
there's a separate bonding over there which sort of comes into play, definitely.
Aye.
Any names you will want to sort of mention who've been not so easy to work with, to be more diplomatic?
Everybody always asks me this on podcasts and different things like that, interviews, and it's always quite a difficult one to answer. I nearly got into a fight with Hardcore Holly once, which was quite terrifying.
But got into a physical fight with him?
No, God, no, he'd kill me, turn me to dust, mate. But it was a misunderstanding backstage. I'd asked him to do something, he didn't agree with it, and he cricked his neck, and then Drew ran over and diffused the situation, and then he went in and had his match, and he came back, and he was a great guy. He was in a great mood. And
a one-off event which sort of could have gone worse.
When he cricked his neck and it went like that, Drew ran over, and then when Holly walked away, Drew went, "Bro, I thought he was going to kill you there." And I was like, "I thought he was going to kill me as well, Drew." And then Bubba Ray Dudley, I nearly had a bit of a run-in with one time. But we've been very lucky with the international talent we've used over the years. A lot of the guys have been great, like Kevin Nash was great, Rob Van Dam, really liked working with Sabu, Mick Foley was great, Rey Mysterio. I mean, the list goes on and on.
The biggest names in pro wrestling, man.
There you go, mate.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Just a few there.
Just a few there.
Just dropped a couple of names there.
Just throwing in the names over here, yeah? Aye. Excellent, yeah. Very modest guy, I must say. Okay, so Mark, so you've seen the Indian talent that we have, the upcoming superstars. What's your view on that? How do you think they are doing as professional wrestlers? What's their potential? Just your view on Indian pro wrestling, and were you surprised about what you saw here? Aye. In a good way or a bad way? Could be either way.
In a good way. Obviously they need a bit more experience of being on television and stuff, but that's going to come in time. You just
like me, you were saying?
Yes, mate.
Okay.
Repetition is key with learning, but the thing that caught me really off guard was I was taken aback by how good the talent was in the ring. Genuinely, not just saying that. It was quite a shock, like to see a roster of that many people where the level across the board, the kind of base level of ability was very high.
Yeah.
So the building blocks are there for something humongous to be built here, and these guys could be like household names in India. I genuinely believe that. I'm not going to name guys individually because I think then that singles people out.
Let the world discover them.
And I think sometimes people get egos if you do that. And I don't like egos. I like stomping on egos.
Can you cut this and then we'll discuss this? Yeah.
But that's it. Like, but if you're young and you're hungry and you're going for it, you need to believe in yourself. So is it an ego or is it believing in yourself? But there's a fine line between both. And
but still, I mean, so as the CEO, if you really have to pick out one name who you think has the potential to be up there from the Indian roster. Kevin? Absolutely. Okay. And anyone else who surprised you the most?
Like Neil and guys like Yosan, and I could go on and on. Like there's such a deep talent pool here that the sky really is the limit. So it'll be exciting to see where things go, truly.
To be an ideal pro wrestler, what are the 2-3 qualities that you need to tick mark to be at the top?
To look like you can kick someone's head in, right? If you're a wrestler, you need to look like you can
like
fight.
Me, yeah?
You need to look like you can fight, because if somebody's in the front row and the wrestler walks out and their dad is sitting there with a pot belly, like me,
and
thinking
saying,
I could kick that guy's head in, then you need to go to the gym, son, and you get out of that wrestling ring and get your head straight on. But there's that. So your look, your build, your physique, how well you take care of yourself, because you're an athlete. And then there's like ability to talk.
Yes.
And it's like, get on that microphone, sell some tickets, get people interested, get people want to come to the show, get them invested in you, get them invested in the matches you've got coming up. Same with boxing, same with MMA. There's a reason that certain guys make more money, and the guys make more money because they talk people into the building. So that's the other thing. And other than that, I think if you've got those two things, you're doing pretty well. There's some people that have got that magical third thing that you can't teach, and it's the it factor. And some people are just born with that, and it's something that can't be taught. And I'm not going to say who, but there's a couple of guys in that roster that I feel have got that.
In the global wrestling world, like what name would you say who's got that X factor?
The X factor, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Aye, like somebody like that.
Yeah,
like,
just that extra bit, yeah.
I like another guy from back in the day, like Rob Van Dam, like a coolness. Aye, just a coolness, like there's a ton of guys like that. Like The Rock, and
I got the sense.
From ICW there was a guy called Grado as well. He had the it factor. He was our very own Hulk Hogan back in Scotland. He's a household name in TV sitcoms and stuff now. Radio host every morning on national radio. So he was a little chubby guy that was an underdog, and because Scottish culture is very underdog related, because we were always the underdog, then people took to him. So if you ever get a chance to look at any of his stuff, he's incredibly entertaining. And it's just, that's a thing that people are born with.
Yeah.
And if you've got the build, the physique, the athletic ability, and you've got the microphone skills and the in-ring skills, then you can get there. But certain people have got that other extra wee element, and they're the guys that become multi-millionaires.
Which also compensates for maybe the other stuff if you're not at that level. It just
look, you can have two of the three, or you can have a bit of each.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
it's a perfect balance that we need to find between.
There's no one right person you can be to be a wrestler, and that's what makes wrestling so unique. It's the travelling circus. If you don't like the lions, you'll like the tigers. If you don't like the tigers, you'll like the clowns. That's the way it should be. No wrestling show should have everybody be exactly the same as each other. Cookie cutter, like replaceable people. Everybody should be a unique individual that is their own personality, that comes screaming through the camera as soon as the light goes on. So that's the beauty of professional wrestling.
Excellent. And what's the advice that you'd want to give to us, me, Jeet, as a promoter, given your experience? What's the one advice that you'd want to give us so that we make this platform the most successful out there?
Listen, yous are doing everything right so far that I've seen. Yous are really aggressively getting this brand out there, this platform out there, and I can't fault a move yous have made so far. Personally, as a promoter, I would have tickets on sale for longer.
Of course.
Aye, because that would be quite scary to me, but I know that India is a much bigger place than Scotland. It's got 6 million people, do you know what I mean? There's probably 6 million people that stay in the street round the corner in India. I think it's 30 million in Mumbai alone.
The scale is humongous.
It's a different world, so I understand here that you don't, but in Scotland you put things in sale like 3, 4, 5 months in advance. But other than that, like the crew behind the scenes, the wrestlers that have been assembled, international wrestlers, the kind of training facility, how dedicated you are and how much time and effort you are putting in, I can't really fault anything so far. And believe me, if I find anything to fault, I will. But so far so good, and it's let's just see what happens next. It's going to be a wild ride to go on.
Okay, I think my last question to you, Mark. So Scotland is known for two of the most popular things. One, of course, is the ICW, which you started. The second, I guess you can guess what Scotland is known for.
Oh, it could be a number of things. Iron brew. No, fighting.
The Scotch, basically.
Aye, Scotch. Mate,
Scotch.
that's to use. No.
Yeah?
In Scotland, it's Buckfast, tonic wine. It's Iron Brew, which is an orange drink.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Iron
Okay.
Brew. Iron Brew.
At least for the Indians, it's just Scotch. Okay.
Scotch as well. We like.
So-
We love our whiskey. We love our whiskey. But the interesting thing about Iron Brew is every country in the world, the number one selling soft drink is Coca-Cola, except in Scotland, where it's Iron Brew. This
That's
a
an
luminous
interesting
orange.
trivia.
Aye, this a luminous orange drink that we all drink, that no one else in the world seems to drink. And
Back in the day, we used to have an orange drink called Gold Spot. I don't know if some of the viewers might remember this, but yeah.
Aye.
Excellent.
It's a national
So
drink.
on the Scotch then, just
Aye.
for Indian perspective, because that's the only thing we know about Scotland.
Aye, bit of whiskey.
Yeah. What's your favorite brand? What's your go-to brand that you sort of love? Quite a few out there.
I'm more, believe it or not, I'm more of a Jack Daniels man. I prefer a Jack Daniels. If I'm drinking a Scotch,
Bourbon, yeah?
like Glenfiddich or something like that, I would probably drink. Or like,
That's a typical thing that happens. You know, something coming out of your own native place, you just end up sort of picking something else from other country.
it's also very stereotypical that people go, oh, if you're Scottish, you'll drink Scotch, right? Yes, but you drink one. You don't drink a bottle of Scotch. You'll end up like,
That's for the Irish to do.
aye, you end up in hospital, man. But it's, I've been to a couple of whiskey tasting nights in Scotland. In Glasgow, there's a lovely place called the Pot Still that's very famous, that has like really old bottles of whiskey, and they do like, you try different like wee sips of the whiskey, and you go around all these tables, and they tell you about the barrel it was made in and all that stuff. But by the time you get to the last table, you can barely walk. You're paralytic.
Of
So
course.
I tend to stay away from whiskey unless I'm with my dad. If I'm with my dad, then I'm forced by my dad to drink a wee bit of whiskey every time I see him.
Got
So
it.
usually we start on the pints of a drink called Tennant's, which is a very famous Scottish lager, and then eventually my dad will get drunk enough that I'll go to the toilet and come back or something, and there'll be a bunch of whiskies sitting there, and he'll go drink the
Okay,
whiskies.
come
and
join
it's
me.
not him asking if I want to drink whiskey, it's him going, you're drinking this whiskey, and then I end up paralytic.
Just a disclaimer, drinking is injurious to health. Don't drink and drive.
No, don't drink and drive, man, but drink the rest of the time. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Aye, take it for a Scotsman.
Two pieces of advice, take either.
Aye.
Yeah, I will
Aye.
leave it to the. Yeah.
To the ICW.
So you've seen evolution of pro wrestling through different phases. How would you define? How did you sort of evolve through that, especially when you were a promoter?
Yeah.
And how would you define the current state of pro wrestling across the world?
Well, I feel like in the higher levels, like WWE with the Netflix deal and stuff like that it seems like, well, they are making more money than they've ever made, like billions, right? So on paper, as a businessman, all
Works
good,
great.
right?
Yeah.
I have a 16-year-old son who has just started watching it because it's on Netflix. Weirdly enough, because I was in the wrestling industry, he was never didn't really care that much about it. Now that he's turned 16, his friends are all watching it, he can't stop talking about it. So me and him sit and watch the big WWE pay-per-views.
Yeah.
So they're enjoyable, they're very, very enjoyable, but it's geared more towards a younger audience. When ICW had its kind of growth in its main boom period, it was during this independent European pro wrestling boom that happened for like, ICW really started it. And then other companies came along like Progress and Rev Pro and all these different ones that kind of kept the wave going. And it went for like 2010, 11 up until about 2017, about the time that NXT UK all of a sudden started because we were making too much noise, and you can't have a company like ICW running a venue like the Hydro that holds several thousand people, and it's a bit too much noise to be making for WWE to sit and allow stuff like that to happen without them getting involved, which is fine, it's business, but that was kind of the point when that kind of boom kind of started to fizzle, because all the best independent talent from Europe was all signed now. And then now you had COVID that really killed things, but now it seems like it's kind of starting to bubble in certain areas again, but it seems like it's very early in an independent wrestling boom, like it's going to start again. And I think it's kind of in tandem with the Netflix deal with WWE, because now it's available to more people than it's ever been around the globe. Then I feel like it's making more people interested in alternatives to WWE, and that's where indie wrestling thrives. And it's just different, you know, one company aims at comedy and one company aims at like death matches and all this sort of thing. So there's something for everyone, and it does feel like some stuff's bubbling under the surface again. But I do feel like the world's very different now, and it's very fragmented. So I do think for a company, an indie company in Europe especially, to maybe reach the heights that ICW reached at one point would be incredibly difficult to pull off. Because everybody lives in bubbles now, where they just watch things in social media. And whereas back then, if we posted something on social media, because we used it in its infancy, it's very early days, then it showed it to everyone that followed you.
They would be glued to it.
Whereas now you've got 100,000 followers, but it shows it to 2,000 people. So it's kind of, everybody's in these little pockets. But when you have, that's what made WXM so unique in my head and all, as well, and make me think I want to be involved in this, was it's like in India, and it's this big massive market, and it's like, oh, this could be something that could be humongous. And then when I started doing some research in like India, the population, like certain things like Bollywood making more money than Hollywood.
Plus, wrestling is heavily followed in India, has a massive viewership.
I've walked down the street with Raj, so
you can imagine.
It's like a superstar, like security
But in
guards
terms of live
stuff.
events, the experience, I mean, India is underserved, and
100%. It's they get the other companies from North America coming over once a year, and that's not enough to. It's enough to whet the taste buds, the appetite of Indian fans, but it's not enough to feed their hunger.
That's where we come in.
Aye.
So in one word, from the insane era that you started to this extreme era, how would you define your journey in one word?
Amazing. Aye, it was amazing. I can't believe, I still pinch myself every day and go, I can't believe that actually happened. This wee guy that was a lifeguard in Glasgow, they went, I think I'll run a wrestling show. Just ran a wrestling show, and then my whole world got turned upside down. We made documentaries for the BBC, we had our own reality TV show and toured the country and ran all these venues that I used to go to nightclubs in as a kid. It was just I'm very blessed and thankful to, the big man upstairs for that, so aye.
Excellent. Okay, so our last segment then, a few rapid fire questions for you. Quick answers, yeah? Favorite wrestler growing up?
Was Ultimate Warrior.
Dream match opponent if you were a wrestler?
Oh, if I was a wrestler, Mankind.
Mankind, yeah.
Cactus Jack. I know it's the same guy, but it's a different character. Cactus Jack.
He's played multiple characters, eh?
Cactus Jack did love in Mankind.
Yeah.
Aye.
One word to describe WXM Ground Zero Powerbomb?
Special.
And was there any ritual that sort of you did before your show started back in the day?
Yep. I used to watch a video of Paul Heyman, and it was from a DVD called The Rise and Fall of ECW, where he would say this quote like, "You could not achieve success if you fear failure." So I would watch that, and it's like a minute and a half long. If you're not afraid to fail, man, you have a chance to succeed, but you're not going to get there unless you risk it all the way. I'll risk failure. Sometimes half the fun is failing, getting up the next day, licking your wounds, and not really wanting to get your arse kicked the way you did yesterday, so now you're just a little more dangerous. And I was like, so I'd watch that as a kind of thing to hype me up before I went out the door, to go, I can't believe I'm running this thing that's humongous at the time. And it was, and having to pretend to people that I knew what I was doing when I was like 26 years old and stuff like that, when I didn't have a clue. I was just winging it the whole time, so.
Perfect. And one word to describe your Indian experience so far?
Incredible.
Favorite Indian food? Too many?
There was a chicken thing, but I can't remember the name of it in the hotel.
Chicken tikka, butter chicken.
It was butter chicken.
Butter chicken?
It was that. Lovely, man. But I think all the chicken, I love chicken. So, any sort of chicken is my favourite.
Excellent. Perfect, Mark. Thank you so much for spending so much time.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute honor and privilege.
It's been a pleasure.
Some of the things that you've talked about, the industry secrets and the backstage thing, what goes on, it really helps us and also sort of gives the knowledge to the Indian audiences. And guys, if you like this video, please follow WXM, follow Mark, support us and come join us for the event. Powerbomb coming to your city.
Yes!